welcome to the third and final game of the evening, and that is a first-person puzzle platformer called Neon Junctions. Yeah, this is the third of these that we've reviewed this year.
It's kind of weird that we're doing this one right after a version too, since this one is another one that's all about mechanically about picking up and putting down blocks in pretty specific places.
Yeah, and weirdly it mixes the other one, Kirchhoff's Revenge, where it's all electrical circuits. It's not as complicated as that game because that was actually teaching you about electrical circuits, but this game definitely has the basics down. And I think that's a good way to sum up this game. Basic. That's not necessarily a bad thing per se, but the puzzles here are pretty simple. I was actually surprised when I got to the last third or so of the game, and it started actually including not gates and gates for the power flow stuff, because there was no hints of anything like that before then. Right. And they don't really give you a tutorial on it, or either directly or indirectly. They don't tell you what these things are.
It's just, oh, hey, it's a bar on the ground with an X on it, or a bar on the ground with an arrow on it now. Luckily, the on and off states of the surrounding stuff is simple enough that you can kind of intuit what they do, but...
Yeah. And the game really picks up at, the last actual puzzle of the game, where it finally incorporates not just horizontal or vertical power couplings, but it finally goes three-dimensional. And it does that for the last puzzle. And this game is only about 35 levels. Essentially, there's 30, there's 33, I'd say. First level is your basic tutorial. It's the stuff that teaches you the stuff that you need to know, and the last level is a very token congratulatory thing, although that is where you access the secret level, and the secret level changes things up by actually being about first-person jumping than actual puzzles.
Yeah, and there are jumping bits before then, but not much.
Yeah, and the secret level, that's the one where you actually have to jump from space to space to space, and if you fall down, you have to start over again. And much like anything first-person that does this, it can go fuck right off. No. But yeah. Out of the first-person puzzle games we've done this year, I'd say this is definitely the least. Not the worst, but it's definitely the least. Kirchhoff actually had this concept and made it into a teaching tool. Version, that was just a much more sophisticated puzzle game than this. Even on the beginning stages of a version, it was doing much more complicated affairs than this thing. But I suppose on the flip side, it's a pretty simple puzzle game. So if you like that kind of thing, this would be your jam right here.
I do kind of recommend probably the keyboard and mouse version over the Switch version. There aren't any touch controls or motion controls or anything, and you want to be moving and then left and right clicking to pick up and put down things, I think.
Right.
You get a little bit faster look with mouse, and more precise look with a mouse look.
Yeah, and not a surprise, this was originally a PC game. And it was ported by Radalaika to the consoles. And it's probably not going to hurt anything playing this with the controller or Joy-Con.
No, it works fine. I kind of recommend turning the sensitivity up a bit.
Right.
It feels a little bit slow and imprecise.
Yeah, it's just you've got to plant the blocks on very exact spaces, and that would probably get pretty frustrating with the controller. I played with a mouse and keyboard, so I didn't have problems in that regard. Now, in terms of its aesthetic, that's the other big part of the game. That's the neon part in the title. It's affecting a pretty, I'd say, typical new wave retro. It's like very high contrast. It's like you got your blue and orange up against mostly blacks and purples.
Mm-hmm.
That
dark
kind of
red, really, more than orange. Light blue and dark red.
still, it's close enough in the color wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you've seen 80 this kind of 80s aesthetic before, you'll be pretty familiar. There doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason behind it, other than that the devs wanted this kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, there isn't like a story that I was able to locate.
No, and that is another thing. This game is similar to a version in the sense that, there's no story here. Who you are, it doesn't really matter.
We learned a bit about Aversion's philosophy and stuff by talking to the dude, but without that.
Yeah, it's like it's even less than Aversion, which is pretty impressive, because I wouldn't have I wouldn't have guessed that the teaching tool would have had the most personality and story out of the first-person puzzle games that we've reviewed this year. But here we are. Life is strange. Life is very strange.
No, we're not reviewing that.
Damn it, you took my joke.
Hey, you said it.
I know. Anyway, the music, in turn, is once again very typical techno. New wave. It's like it sounds of the 80s. Dystopian melodies and so on and so forth. But everything's so abstracted. There's no actual, if there's a political philosophy here, it's not, other than being apolitical, which in and of itself is a political philosophy. But this game isn't really saying anything about anything really, which is actually pretty impressive.
Do you like
or if it is, it's saying it very quietly in a language that we don't speak.
Yeah. I mean, all games are political, but this game isn't telling us to fuck the Pope or anything.
Wait, in the don't like way or in the like way?
In the don't like way.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And I think that's about it in terms of this game as well. Once again, it's a game that's been ported by Radalikia, so short, simple. It fits the criteria. And in terms of pricing, so we actually have a price discrepancy here, because once again, the PC version was put out by a different publisher, Stately Snail. The game on PC clocks in at $3.99, and the game on consoles clocks in at the standard $4.99. Obviously, I give the nod to the PC version, picking this game up for $4. Easy recommend. Once again, it's definitely not the one I would recommend out of what we've reviewed this year, but on its own terms, it's the typical Radalikia mild recommendation. You won't go wrong even at $5 with this. It'll only last you 3 hours at most. And this game just needed to be longer. It was just starting to stretch its creative horizons in terms of puzzle design when it just decided to end. What about you guys? Any additional thoughts on Neon Junctions here?
I didn't get that far, but does it have any free play mode or whatever, or is it just the puzzles and you're done?
Just the puzzles and you're done. Also, it does not have a puzzle creator.
Which again, there's a lot you could do with circuit design for puzzles.
and yeah, especially with what this game is going for here. Like I said, it just started exploring three-dimensional puzzle design, and then it ended. Like, so that's where I'm at. What is there is pretty solid, but there needed to be more there to really justify this title.
Yeah, it started out at, I would say, a step below the first step of a puzzle game a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then was just like getting up to the part where it starts getting interesting, and it's almost over. So I didn't quite finish, but I'm close.
I'm sure you'll be able to finish it, in like a half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, yeah, I think that'll about do it for Neon Junctions here. And indeed, that'll do it for our slate of reviews for this week. Coming up on the week ahead. So Wednesday, as previously mentioned, our guest interview has moved to Friday. That is all set up. That's all ready to go. But on Wednesday, it'll be part 3 of our 80 Days Let's Play. It will be fun trying to remember where we were and what was going on, because we haven't done one of these since November.
Something like that.
Yes. It's been a few months, so look forward to that. And yeah, on February 28th, Friday, we'll be having Craig Snape of Celestial Gold Studios. We'll be talking about a game called Kung Fu Jesus. Yes, this is actually what it's called.
Kung Fu Me Jesus through the karate boards of life.
I'm like, yeah, I think so.
That was a pun to an apparent country song title, which is Drop Kick Me Jesus Through the Goalposts of Life.
I mean, it's not far off from how fucking weird this thing is. I'll go find the trailer after we're done here. It's fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just Jesus and he's doing kung fu like what would South Park do. It's very trippy. And yeah, that is coming up this week. And until Wednesday, I will wish you good gaming.